All right, so today we are going to talk about myofascial release, one of my favorite, most delicious things to do, and we're going to use tennis balls. So normally when I would lead a class like this, I would lead people through an hour or two of myofascial release, but I want to give you the tools today to be able to do it on your own. So we're going to go over it. I'm going to show you different things you can do with the tennis balls and then leave you to explore and follow your own inner body wisdom to guide you through what feels most nourishing to you. Really quickly, when we talk about myofascial release, what are we talking about? Our muscle fibers are surrounded by fascia, and that's actually what holds your muscle fibers into bundles. It keeps them in these nice, neat, organized sections in your body. Over time, what happens is the fascia are meant to glide past each other. That's what happens when we extend our muscles out and they lengthen out, is the fascia are gliding past each other but not letting you glide too far. Over time, under tension or lots of stress or overuse or underuse in certain areas, what happens is we've got these little fibers that build up between our fascia, and that's where stiffness or lack of mobility comes from. If you've ever done a really hard workout and a few days later you might still be sore, but more than that, you can't touch your toes as easily as you could have before. That's those muscle fibers building up between your fascia. So when we do myofascial release, we are using, in this case, tennis balls to break up those fiber bundles so that we can bring more oxygen and fluid and mobility into those spaces in your body. So, like I said, I use 2 tennis balls, and I start sitting down. So let's come to a seated position. And if you imagine the bottom of your feet and up the back of your body, there really are, you can divide the sections along the bottom of your foot and the back of your leg into 3 different sections. So we're gonna look at all 3 of those as we work our way up the body. And I just changed my mind, we're actually gonna stand up for this part. So we're gonna work our way from the feet and go up. If you get 1 tennis ball and you bring it under your foot and just roll it around for a little bit, you're gonna start to feel a lot of sensitive spots. Those sensitive spots where you have the sharp sensation is generally where you would benefit most from a little bit of release. So just familiarize the bottom of your foot with your tennis ball, and then remembering the 3 sections of muscle, the outer edge, the middle of your foot, and then the inner edge. I usually start on the inner edge, and I just find a spot where I feel a lot of sensation. So if it's towards the top of my foot, I'll pause at that spot. I'll press my heel down to the ground. From the side, it might look like this. And I just gently lean forward into it, allowing the tennis ball to really hit the point of tension right there. And breathe. And you'll stay in this spot until the sensation begins to fade. That generally means you've had the release that your body was looking for. And then I might move the tennis ball towards the center of my foot and then towards the outer edge. I start at the front of my foot, I roll my foot forward, and then do some points towards the back of my foot too. So at one point, my toes and the ball of my foot will be touching my mat, and the ball is more back towards my heel. So you'll do both feet, and then we'll gradually or gently make our way down to the ground. And I like to bring a yoga block into the spaces along the back of my leg to kind of help get the juicy spots. So if you place a yoga block on your mat and then the tennis ball on top of your yoga block, and we start at the point just above your Achilles tendon right here. So you'll start in the lower section of your calf muscles, roll your foot back and forth so that you're hitting all 3 of those kind of muscle stripes, the outer edge, the middle, the inner edge. And just find a spot, again, where you feel that sharp sensation and just rest your body there. With the back of the leg, If you want to increase the sensation, you can take the leg that you're not working and gently lay your foot on top of wherever that tennis ball is located underneath your leg. Now, oftentimes when we practice myofascial release, it is a sharper sensation than we're used to. Our brains are naturally wired to move away from pain, to disconnect, to not experience it. So part of the benefits of myofascial release, in addition to the increased mobility and the release of tension in your muscles, is that it's a great opportunity to engage in being present in the moment, even when things are a little uncomfortable. This helps us build resilience so that we're better able to meet the challenges off of our mat and in the rest of our lives. So again, as sensation starts to fade, that's generally a good sign that you have released enough tension in that spot. You can feel free to move to another spot in your lower calf muscle. And then as we work up, I would just scoot the block forward and work maybe on the middle of my calf, and then just under the back of my knee. Again, moving my leg from side to side until I find a point where my body says yes right there, and you'll know by the sharp sensation that you feel. So you would do that in the lower part of your calf, the mid calf, and the upper calf, just below the soft part of the back of your knee. Then we move up above the knee, and for the lower part, or just above your knee and your mid thigh right here, the back of your mid thigh, you would use a block, doing the same thing again, rolling your leg from side to side, finding that point of sharp sensation, maybe even bringing your other foot to rest on top of your leg at the point where the ball is underneath, and breathing into it. Deep breathing is really important in myofascial release. It connects you to the experience your body is having. It allows you to intentionally release and let your body melt around the tennis ball so that you are really hitting those spots where you have that tension built up. Once I do the section just above my knee and the back of my mid-thigh, we move to the section where our leg meets our hip. And at that point, I generally move the block out of the way. If you sit on your mat with your foot flat on the ground, you want to bring your tennis ball to that point where your sit bones meet the mat, just in front of that. And then, as you find that spot, lengthen your leg out. And with this one, I like to rock from side to side, or take my upper body and progressively lean forward more. As your weight shifts with this movement, you'll be able to hit different points in that space where your leg and your hip connect. This is oftentimes a very tender spot, particularly if you have a job where you're sitting at a desk often. So again, as you hit those points of sharp sensation, just breathe into it and release. After you feel you've done enough release here, you would do your other leg, and then we move into our back. And once I get to my back, I actually recommend starting at the shoulders and working your way down. This is where you want to bring 2 tennis balls into it. And from the back, you're going to place the tennis balls on either side of your spine, roughly level to the top of your shoulder blade and where it is as you're resting. So if you lay down on your back and bring the tennis balls down there, you'll go through the same process that you did with your legs. You'll breathe into the sensation, allow your muscles to release and melt around the tennis balls. With the tennis balls under your shoulders, you also have the option to bring arm movement into this, where you bring your arms wide, maybe reach them up overhead, Really allow your inner body wisdom to take effect here. Listen to it. Allow it to be your guide into the sensation that will allow for the greatest amount of release. When you're ready to move further down your spine, you just slide towards the top of your mat so that your tennis balls move an inch or two down your spine, and stay there until you feel that release. Sometimes it's a subtle release. Other times you might feel a dramatic shift in the way that your muscles are laying. One thing to be aware of as you work your way down your spine and towards your hips is that oftentimes when we experience a sharp sensation, we have the tendency to tense up in other areas of our body. So consciously release any other areas that are tensing up to allow for that sharp sensation, so that you can further ease and melt around the tennis ball. So you'll want to work your way down your spine and towards your hips. Once you get to your hips, it becomes very intuitive. Lift your hips up, place the tennis balls underneath there, and just explore the different placements of the tennis balls and the ways in which you might shift your weight. And you will find plenty of areas in this space that benefit from a little pause and intentional breath to release that tension. And you can stay in each position as long as you would like to, as long as it feels nourishing. I generally recommend a minute to 2 for each position before you move on to the next area of your body. When you get to your neck, use one tennis ball. And if you look one direction, you place the tennis ball under the opposite side of your neck. So I'm looking to my right, and the tennis ball is underneath the left side of my neck. Once it's placed there, I will gently turn my head so that my gaze is coming over my left shoulder. I will just do this for a few moments, allowing my head to gently turn back and forth. And when I'm ready, I'll roll that tennis ball just an inch or 2 up my neck, gradually working up to the base of my skull. Now, the last little bit is what to do when you do reach the base of your skull. So if you have a yoga block, I actually prefer using a yoga block instead of tennis balls because you're able to more evenly hit the entire width of your neck. So you would bring your block on the low setting, just underneath your head. And this long edge, you're gonna hold your block at an angle so that long edge hits that space just under the round bones at the base of your skull. These are called occiputs. You might need to hold your block at an angle, and you can relax here, feel the back of your neck lengthen out. You might also experiment with gently turning your head from side to side and pausing at any point at which your body asks you to. Again, really allow yourself the time to ease into and feel and experience each position along the way. After you're done, remove your tennis balls and your yoga block and allow your body to readjust by taking a shavasana flat on your mat. Allow your inner body wisdom to guide you here. Sometimes certain areas of your body will benefit from more attention than others, so allow yourself to follow that guidance and enjoy. Thank you so much for joining me today for Myofascial Release.